project management and issue tracking tool that was developed by Atlassian. Atlassian is one of the top, should I say, collaborative tool producer. They are the owners of Jira, they're the owners of Confluence, they're the owners of Trello, which are tools that are mostly used by product managers, project managers, and business analysts. So we're going to be focusing on Jira because Jira was originally created to just track bugs and issues. However, it has evolved to become the most widely used tool for managing tasks, projects, and workflows across various industries and organizations. Jira is designed to help teams plan, track, and manage their work with precision and transparency. So Jira is a tool that's most popularly used in an agile environment, where agile environment is an environment that allows for progress in small iterations. So instead of doing something from start to the end before we now test and see if it works, we are going in an agile environment. You test as you go. So for every time you're doing something, you're checking if it's working. If it's not, you are able to quickly catch loopholes and bugs, and then work on them before they expand. So with Jira, teams can visualize their project stages. They can identify bottlenecks and ensure timely delivery through structured sprints and roadmaps. Jira provides an organized and centralized workspace that supports teams for project planning through execution. All of these are just the English form of saying that Jira is that one thing that allows effective collaboration and teamwork in a team. So it's always easier when you're working with people and you can just go to something and see what they are doing at what particular time, instead of waiting for people to tell you what they're doing, what bottlenecks they have, because a lot of the times people may not speak up. In an agile environment, you do what is called daily stand-ups. So in that, it's usually like a 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes max status update of where everybody is at on task. Or sometimes some organizations or some teams don't do daily stand-ups, and there are times where after your daily stand-up, you probably have to interact with other stakeholders and you want to know what they are doing, where they're at a particular. Say, for instance, we do daily stand-ups at 9, and maybe as at 1 o'clock, I'm asked to give a report about the status of the task. I'm not expecting that where we were at 9 a.m. is where we will be at 1 p.m. So I'm going to go to my project management tracking tool like Jira, and then see what is happening at that point. So that's generally what Jira is in all of this grammar that I have put here. Jira is mostly used across several industries like software development industry, marketing, operations, customer service, HR, and finance, across board, every kind of. I'm sorry, please, there was noise in my background. I had to step away. So Jira is that one tool that can be used across all sorts of industries, like I said, and software in marketing, operations, customer support, HR, and finance. Jira is mostly used can be used by anybody, but there are like a few categories of people that become in contact with Jira at every point in time. For instance, product managers. A product manager will use Jira to build and maintain project roadmaps or product roadmaps, aligning the development team with strategic goals and deadlines, manage and prioritize backlogs, track the status of new product features, bug fixes and improvements, communicate the product vision and progress to stakeholders and the team, and then keep everybody on the same page. Our business analysts also use Jira. Like I said, I'm a business analyst. We use it for documenting requirements, creating detailed user stories, and monitoring project progress. We also use Jira to ensure that business requirements are aligned with project outcome. The use of Jira helps teams stay focused to deliver value to the end users. Business analysts use Jira to break down complex requirements into actionable tasks, and we use it to track stakeholder requests and maintain an organized view of all project details. In the software team, developers also make use of Jira to track bugs and development tasks and project timelines, visualize workload, because developers don't like reading a lot of stories, right? So the Jira board just makes it really simple for them to go there and do what you have to do, check what it is that you're to work on, because tasks will be assigned. We'll see that in a bit. And then it helps to improve communication and collaboration, because you can leave a comment on Jira to say, oh, this is what I've done on this particular task. This is where I have issues. And it gets everybody on that team gets notified that a comment has been dropped. You can also integrate Jira to your Slack community, which is something that most people in software development use. However, I'm sure that you can integrate Jira to other platforms as well. Jira gives full visibility as well as to project managers. You use it to plan efficient sprints, use it to monitor your team workload, assess your team performance, adapt and adjust in real time. Then for other teams that are not software related, Jira is a centralized tool for various teams to use. For instance, the marketing teams can utilize Jira to organize and monitor the status of campaign assets. So a project could be anything. Like the marketers, it could be a campaign asset, it could be the release of a product. To the HR team, you can use Jira to manage your recruitment processes, from tracking to onboarding, and all of that through exits that creates a smooth workflow for everybody to see where we are on. Customer support teams also can use Jira to track customer tickets, see what the customer complaint was at what time, who attended to what, and all of that. So what can Jira do in summary? You can plan projects with Jira, you can groom your backlog with Jira, you can document with Jira, you can also give reporting and analytics through Jira. Now, this is just a very brief summary of what Jira is, what Jira does, and we're going to get into the nitty-gritties of this stuff. But does anybody have any questions here before we proceed? Sorry, am I been audible all this while? Because it doesn't sound like I'm talking to myself.
Yes, no question from my end.
All right, cool. Do you have any questions at this point? Theoretical parts of Jira. I believe you all know what Jira is now. All right, great. So let us proceed to see how Jira works in real life. Here, I just added a link to create a Jira account, and it is going to bring us to this. If you follow that link, you're coming here. Jira is free, by the way, and it's open source. That is to say, you can get an account without subscription. So when you come here, so this is me. Normally, you should come to, let me start again.
Sorry, do you want to give out the link, or we just go to Google and start searching for it?
Oh, you can just check it online. Just create an account on Jira. That link should take you there. But because I have used the link before, that's why it is taking me to a page I stopped at. So you're going to see here that says create at least an account or start using Jira for free today. So either of it should take you there, but I'm just going to create at least an account. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, at least. Now, because Jira and Confluence are both Atlassian tools that we use together, when you have one account, you can access the other. So if you have an account on Jira, you can access an account on Confluence. Okay, so I don't like that it is taking me back to where I don't want to be. there's no existing account on it. So if there's an error here, you have the red marker here. So I don't know why this is taking forever. Please, my network is in drag. Someone should rescue me. Is anybody on this as well so that we can maybe share your screen and move together, please? I don't know why it's dragging. I've been using it the whole day. Is anybody working on this on their laptop? Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes, you have, but I am not.
Great.
No.
So I think we are making progress with the Google SSO. So this is just a sign in with Google, this part. So I just clicked continue with Google. And then because my Google account is signed in, it is progressing. Yeah, so at this point, this is where you name your site. Now, your site could be a company name. It could be anything that you want it to be. You know how you can name your company? It's like your company domain name, because you don't want it to just be any random name. For instance, if my name is or say BAMS Academy, this is the point where I'm going to name my site to be BAMS Academy. Now, because this already exists, it's going to tell you, so you can like walk around it, you can tweak it or something. And then once the name is available, you will see it in red, right? Then you can continue from there. I honestly do not intend to create another account, but let's proceed. So once you've done all of that, you should land here. I don't think it really doesn't matter what you pick here. What this helps Jira do is just collect data of the type of people that make use of the software. Because it doesn't mean that if I take software development, for instance, I will not have access to human resource templates. It just helps them know that, okay, because your work is focused on product management, because you're focused on design, templates will suggest to you with things around your job role, right? So I'm going to work with software development for here. Now, what do I want to use Jira to do? I want to be able to manage my task, prioritize work, track bugs, improve team processes mostly. But they gave us a limit of 3, so we'll proceed with that. Slowly, slowly, slowly. So screening slowly. So ultimately, we should land here, but let me see where that is at, because it's moving really slowly. Okay, for some reason my network is a drag. I should make progress to this point. Now, this is a new account I created this morning. So we should be here. If anybody's following, please let me know where you are at so that I can see. Yeah, I noticed this error was happening to me this morning, which is why I tried a different browser and I'm on Binge. So does anybody have an issue up to this point? Because everything we did, it follows the same step. Once you pick all of that, you should land here. Note that if you look um, at the top ribbons, you can see teams. That is, you can have more than one team on the same email address. You can create another team. If, for instance, you work on different projects at the same time, you can create different teams to to correspond with the projects that you're working on. This is so that you're not lumping up everything together. Am I making sense so far? Okay, this is the part where you edit your work, you edit your team. You just maybe want to put something about your organization, but really nothing to see here. So we're going to create our first project. You can see this blue button that is calling out your name that says create. Mind you, like I said earlier, you can use Jira has a lot of other subcomponents. It has brothers and sisters that you can find if you click on this button here, and I'm not sure why it's not responding. You see Jira Discovery, Jira Software, you see Confluence, Atibebelo. If it comes back, we'll get to it. But we want to create a project. You can either create from here or you can come to project, view all projects, or create a project. This one here is a sample project. So you can see go to market sample. It's a sample project. It comes with your account, right? So you can create a project from here. Once you click on that, it should load up and load up. Okay, yeah. So these are some of the other products that you can try on that Jira, where you have, once you click to this, you can switch between other products, product discovery, Confluence, service management, and other product. But most of these they're usually free, at least for the first 10 users, because there's a pricing plan. For the first 10 users, if you have a team of more than 10, then you want to subscribe. Otherwise, you're good to use the Jira for free. I'm waiting for this to load up. I'm so sorry, my network is a drag today of all days. Okay, I don't know what's happening. I'm not sure of what's happening anymore. It's usually not this difficult and it's pretty straightforward. Okay. So we're going to create our first project. To create issues in this project, and I'm not understanding why. So I'm not understanding why it is telling me I can't create issues. Because I'm not trying to create an issue, I'm trying to create a project. Let's do announcements. Sorry, I'm just trying to see how to sort this error because I don't understand why I'm seeing this. I just created this account. I should have admin access. Okay, I don't know what's going on.
Have you experienced this before?
Never. I just create an account and just move forward. And I have
Okay.
like 3 games on Jira, so I don't know why this is happening.
So it could also be that maybe it has recognized your IP and then it sees that you have like multiple accounts. So that may be a problem. I don't know. I'm just saying. The second thing is if you consistently still have issues with your network, it depends on others. You may want to reschedule this class to another time when this is sorted. This is just a session, yeah. So that we're not just staying for a long time and then not doing much.
Yeah, I
Well,
get that. Thank you. Thank you
well,
so much. Okay, so does anybody else have any other suggestion? Because I would think I would go with Easy's suggestion of rescheduling so that I can find out what is wrong. I actually used this yesterday. I was able to sign into my project. But I noticed this morning I'm not able to sign into my own project. So I just thought, oh, maybe it's my account. But this is like a brand new one. So I'm not anticipating any of these issues. Yeah, go ahead. I can't see the screen, so but I do know someone wants to speak. Did someone raise their hand? Okay, so I think I'm going to go with Isi's suggestion of. Okay, Mr. Ego says I go with Isi's suggestion. Yeah, so I think I'm going to go with Isi's suggestion. Let me sort this. I don't know, but what's a good time to reschedule for?
So it may be hard to get a consensus now. So you could just leave a message in the group and give everyone like 2 options, and then people can vote on it.
So we're logged into Jira. Once you get into Jira, you complete your login or sign up. This is the first place you're going to land. This is your Jira board. So to create a project, you're going to come here to create projects. Under project, create project. Then you see that you can pick a lot of templates. You can pick from any of the templates here. You can pick from any of the templates written on this side. All right, better. So any of these templates would actually work. So it doesn't matter which what's the word? It doesn't matter what your category is. If you want to do software, you want to do like, so for now, Jira gives like 30 days trial for premium. So you can see some templates are on the premium plan. Others like this premium, anyone that doesn't have premium on this is free. So mostly for software teams, you'll be working with either Kanban or Scrum. However, if you're in service management, any of these other templates can work with you. If you're in work management, this is where most project managers work with. So you can see a template for project management, task tracking, new employee onboarding, assuming you're in HR, to manage your processes, manage your sales pipeline, and all of that. For product manager, they're all of these are templates. So it doesn't particularly matter. Excuse me, it doesn't matter which department you're in, you can access a lot of or all of the templates that are on Jira. Most of them are free, by the way, so you don't need to have a subscription. So I'm just going to work with something on software development. Now, in a software team, you are mostly, especially in an agile team, you can either be using a Kanban, where Kanban is pretty straightforward to do, in progress and done. But in a Scrum team, you can have more than 3 columns. You can have more than just 3 backlogs items to do in view and done. So I'm going to do it. So when you pick a template, this is what you get. You just look, you want to read through it or not, and then you use the template. Now, at this point, you choose if you are going to use a team managed project or if you're using a company managed project. With a team, maybe you're working with HR team only, or you're working with some task only within your teams. You can be doing a project where you have to interact with HR, you have to interact with finance departments, you have to interact with commercial departments, and sometimes the products or projects rather will overlap. Then you want to do a company managed project. Mind you, whatever you choose here cannot be changed. Like it's stated there, you will need to create a new project if you decide to change your project. So you want to be careful where you're creating this. If you just want to keep it within your team manage will do. If you want to keep it for where everybody in the company can access, then you want to use company managed. Use company managed, and this is where you name your project. If I'm working on a project that is, someone should give me a name of a project. I've used Jira Masterclass before, so I'm just going to look for another one. Just a random project you can work on as a project.
Learning platform, e-learning platform.
Sorry?
E-learning or just learning
E-learning.
platform? Okay.
So e-learning platform. Then it is going to automatically generate a key. So your key is unique to the project. What Jira does is automatically it takes the first letter of the first word, and if it takes the first letter of each word. So we have e-learning, so we have ELP, but you can change this key. If I decide that, oh, I don't want it to be e-learning, maybe I want it to be ELEP or something, I can edit it. But at this, I mean, you can always still edit it, but it's going to affect the, when we move forward, you see where it affects the tasks and it affects all your ticketing. Because if you start with ELP and then you change it, you now go and change it to ELEP, some of the projects the older projects you had when you had ELP as the key will not change. It will still be, so you'll be having two different unique IDs for your project. So I'm just going to leave it as ELP. And then we move forward. At this point, you can change, because after here, you cannot change your template anymore. You cannot change your project type. So we'll go to next.
I can't hear anything, just in case it's just me.
No, it's not just you. I can't hear and screen is white.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm just listening for it to do that. It possibly fine transition.
Elizabeth, so clearly most of us can't hear you, and we see that it's highlighted as that you're talking. So you may need to check with your network, and then I can see your cursor moving, but I can't see anything. It's just a plain white background. So you need to check with your network.
Okay, so you see, I'm not speaking. I'm just trying to wait for it to. It's supposed to load up to the next page so that we can proceed from there. And that's what I'm waiting for it to do exactly. So. I'm going to start again. I went wrong. Okay, this is the part where you can decide if you have documents on Confluence. Confluence is a sister product to Jira. Confluence is where you do most of your documents using within the Atlassian ecosystem. So it's optional to do this. If you have, you can connect space. If you don't, you can continue without doing that connection. Now, we now land at the active sprint. And because we don't have an active sprint in our backlog, the backlog is here on this to the left, the columns to the left. The backlog is a list of items that you want to work on. So it's like it's the draft of your to-do list, things you need to do for your e-learning or your learning platform that you haven't done. Then if you have started it, then you need to move to an active sprint. But let's start from the backlogs. To add a backlog, what you do is create an issue. Now you're not creating an issue. You can see that there are two parts where you have create an issue up here and here. This first part, you can see it is called LP Sprint 1. We don't want to add an issue here yet because we don't know what is coming into the first sprint. So a sprint is a time box period where we attend to a group of events. So we are not sure what group of events we want to attend to first because we have to prioritize from our backlog items. So to add a backlog item to create an issue, let's say, what are we doing? Registration for our e-learning platform. We want to be able to do verification. We want to be able to do login. We want to be able to do what else? Please help me. What else do we have on an e-learning platform? Add a course, save progress. Go ahead, please. I see someone's mic is unmuted.
Maybe modules.
Modules. Let's do like up to 10 so that we can prioritize on our sprint properly. Or you might notice that you're having numbers. Okay. So if you delete one, you can't edit this number. So if, for instance, I come and I delete modules, the next project is going to take number 7, and then we will not have number 6. Okay, so I can't think of anything else, so we're just going to leave it here. And now we have a list of, it can be as many as possible, it can be as much as Jira accommodates. Now we're going to prioritize our backlog items, and that's what comes into our sprint. So for the first thing we want to do, of course, we want people to be able to register. We want them to be able to verify. We want them to be able to log in, at least to browse the system before they can now maybe add course or save their progress or take a course. So I can either move this up here, one after the other, individually, registration, do the same thing to verification, or I can mark here and move them all up together like that. Now, if I don't want something and I'm looking at it, oh, okay, no, we don't want to start with this yet, I can always bring it back to backlog. Now, this is the first sprint, and this is assuming you're working in an agile team, which is where most teams work in. Most project teams, most software teams, most product teams work in an agile setting. So you're going to be creating sprint. Again, a sprint is a time box period where we attend to a certain or an agreed set of tasks, right? A sprint is typically 2 weeks, but can stretch to 4 weeks. It's never less than 2 weeks. It's never more than 4 weeks, according to how the team agrees for it to be, but it's typically an agile setting. So having said that, we're now going to start our sprint. It is important to note at this point that when you start your sprint, you cannot add any backlog items to this. So every item you want to add to your sprint, you add it now. And you want to make sure that they are related items because you have a sprint goal. The goal of the sprint is to say, within the next 2 weeks, what are we working on? This goal here is to ensure that users can join, users can create accounts, and then they can join in. They can create accounts to get onto the platform. That's our goal for this sprint. So to start my sprint, I will come to this blue button on the top right, where it says Start Sprint. And then I will click on Start. It's going to give me a pop-up box. You can change the sprint name, but I'm just going to leave it as Sprint 1. We can change it to LP instead of Sprint 1. We can say create account, whatever you prefer. Again, a sprint is minimum of 2 weeks, maximum of 4 weeks, right? But we're going to leave our sprint. Typically, averagely, normally a sprint is 2 weeks. It's only when maybe the backlog items you're working on many, and then from the development end, they've said, okay, we can't do this in 2 weeks, so we can do 3 weeks, and you can increase it. Start dates will typically be the time at which you start, but you can always edit your start date. If, for instance, I'm supposed to have started this sprint yesterday and I forgot, so I can come back and backdate my sprint and then maybe change my time as well. I'm going to leave this at sprint 1 so that you can read clearly in our report. So the end date is automatically fixed, which is 2 weeks from the start date. So what our sprint goal is ensure that users can create an account seamlessly on the platform. Okay, then we start. So the sprint now goes to what we call active sprint. This is where we are now seeing what the active sprint is. At this point, I mean, at your backlog point, you can assign tasks, but at this point, you can also do same. At your backlog here, before you start the sprint, you can go to here and assign somebody. For you to assign a task to someone, the person has to be invited onto your Jira board or onto the project. Now, to add someone to your Jira board, you click on this plus sign. This sign here that says add people. Then you click. If the person is already within the company, the name will just show up at Gmail. If the person is within the company, the name will show up. Otherwise, add the person. If the person is not, it will prompt you to invite that person in. Let me use one of our email addresses here so the person can tell me if they got an invite or not. I don't know, someone that's up for it. If you're close to your mail, please give me your email address so that we can use it. You can easily access your mail right now.
Victoria, can you Victoria? Victoria1@gmail.com.
Like this. All right, so we're going to add Victoria. So let me know when you get prompt. Now, one thing Jira doesn't do is, having done this, you will never see a message that tells you a person has been invited. So a lot of the times you don't know if the person has been invited, right? But if you're not sure, let's go to project settings on the left side. You can see where my cursor is. Project settings. If I'm not sure that Victoria has gotten the prompt, I will just come to project settings, come to people. Now, again, under details, this is where you can change. Oops, I'll go back there. I'll show you where you can edit. So say, for instance, you want to change the name of the project from learning platform to e-learning platform or electronic learning platform, and then change your key. At the point of settings, you go to details and you can do all of that. Sorry, I'm going back to details so that we can touch on that quickly before we move to people. So here, say your project has a logo, you can change the icon, you can change the name here. Again, you can change your key here. If there's like a website you want to call people's attention to, you can do that here and on and on. But to add people, certainly, no, once you do that, you have to click save, please. The save button will be highlighted once you've made any edit. Then here, you're not sure if, like, for instance, I'm not sure Victoria got that because of that prompt, because I'm not getting that notification from Jira. So I'll just come here and I will click on add people. Victoria, please let us know if and when you get a notification from Jira.
Okay, actually on my mail, once I get, I'll let you know.
All right, great. So this is one problem I've also had with Jira a lot of the time. You can also try invite people. It brings you back to the same thing, right? So let me do that again. But when you do invite people, you are able to ask, I'm able to decide if I want to give her access to my Confluence as well, or maybe just Jira. So I'll do with Confluence and then add one person. Successful. So apparently just invite people does this. Now when Victoria accepts, she will appear here and I'll be able to see hi here. Victoria, let us know when you get it. So we're
Okay,
going to
yes,
go
so I've
back.
received the email. Admin invited you to join them in Jira.
Mhm.
So I'm going to accept the invite.
Yes. Okay, still not showing that Victoria is here. So we'll go back to the project. She has accepted, so we'll now see her here. I don't know if you can see this clearly. At any point, you cannot clearly see my screen. Let me know so that I zoom in. So here, because I started typing Victoria, it then brought out her name. So if it doesn't, when it shows this, you know, okay, this person is already on this project. If it doesn't, then you have to the project. Now I'm going to add Victoria to this sprint. I'm adding Victoria to this project and to this particular sprint so that I can assign a task to her. So let me know if you have access because I'm still not getting a notification that you've been added. So at the point where I've added everybody to my team, I can assign here. If I want to assign this task to myself, I'm assigning it here. Now, let me quickly explain something before we move forward. Tasks and stories and what this label, what it means. So you see here that when you see the green label like this, sorry, I'm moving everywhere. I'm just touching things as I remember, as we come in contact with them. When you see this green label here, this is a story. What a story means is I'm writing a user story and acceptance criteria for developers or for other people in the team to act on. When you see this, and this is a task is a short defined assignment. So I want to go to like a to-do list. I want to go to the market. I want to do laundry. That's a task. When you see it like this, it's a subtask because it belongs to a task saying for us to accomplish this task, we have to have done A, B, and C. When you see this, this is a bug. When you see this, this is an epic. So usually in the hierarchy, you start from an epic and then you build upward. You do an epic, you do a story, you do a task, and then you build all the way. But to do an epic, you don't do this under backlog, you do it under timeline. So I hope I'm not everywhere and just, am I making sense? Can anybody hear me? Am I making sense? Okay, I'll take that. I'll take silence. And go ahead.
Yeah, you are actually.
Okay, great. So to do an epic, your epic is like the theme of your work. So what we have under our backlog items in our first sprint, all of these, they come under registration, or you can say onboarding. right? That's like the topic that covers everything. So I can create an epic here that will be called onboarding. You see that the moment I come to this timeline, the first icon here is an epic. So I create onboarding. If I want to do a next one after onboarding, what will I likely do again? Maybe verification or authentication. Right. So now I'm writing my list of broad topics where the other tasks will fall under. Under onboarding now, I will now be required to put a list of stories that apply to onboarding. That is where our backlog items will fall under. So you can see here, I'm not able to edit it here because this print is an active. Okay, I can do that. I'm going to add my epics here. Mind you, if you start with your list of backlogs, you will not have an epic to it. If you start with epics first, all the others will fall under it. For instance, I've done this epic called onboarding. So I'm going to put, you now see the next thing that comes here. The next thing that comes here is a story. What is the story that comes under epic? Registration. Let me do registration too. Let me do sign in, not sign in too. Right. Now you see all of this. Anything I write here on the timeline automatically falls under my backlog, whether I touch it or not. And you see the last two I just added, and then their epics are showing. Now, for places where I don't have an epic, I've started the backlog before I wrote the epics, I can always add it to an epic. When I click on this, you just hover over it, because when you're not hovering, you don't see it. So you hover over it and then you see the epic. So click on epic and add it to an epic. So the epic is like the broader story. So I'm adding this to onboarding and on like that. I can change the status here from to do to in progress to done, but it's always easier to do that from your active sprint. That's where, for instance, I'm working on it, Victoria is working on it. None of us will go. Anytime we go to the backlog is when we want to drop fresh ideas. Oh, we've done our stand-ups, we've done sprint reviews, we've done our meetings, we've said we want to work on A, B, C, D, and E. We come to backlog and dump it. But for us to report status of projects is from our active sprint, so that I'm moving my board, I'm moving my tickets. These are called tickets, and these are called boards. So these columns are called boards, these other ones are called tickets. So I'm moving, say I have worked on onboarding, I'm moving it to in progress. This is how it will work. So however I have done here, if you go to backlog, the status will be updated. And you see that registration has moved from to do to in progress. So if I want to say a summary of, oh, what's all the tasks we have to do in sprint 1, where are we at? I can come to backlog and get a review. But if I want to see the movement, I want to see who's acting on what's here, I do all of that. Most of the times, your team will be working from this corner, the active sprint. Now, again, that for a Scrum team, you can have more than 3 boards here. So we have to do in progress and done. However, I can say before a project gets done, it has to undergo review. So awaiting review. Oh, I'm maybe working on a software product and we have to do QC tests. So I'm going to say QC passed, or I'm going to say QC failed. This way, I'm able to give an accurate statistic of where every project is at every point in time. So I'm moving a project to QC failed, for instance. This is based off of what the team agrees to do, okay? Because you could just say, okay, let's maybe once after in progress, then you are done. But we want to have our definition of done. Your definition of done is at what point do we say this task is complete? You've gone through reviews, it has gone through QC, it has passed QC. QC is quality control, it has passed through testing and everything is all right, then we put it under done. That way, when we are giving reports to stakeholders, we're able to just come to our done checklist, our done list, and say, oh, we've completed A, B, and C. We have tested, we have checked for bugs, we have done all the things that we should do, but it's all, it has passed all of those stages. So moving on, I was going to say something about, does anybody have any questions to this point before I proceed here? If I come back here. No? Okay. So I'll take that as a no. No questions. So here, by the time you're updating the statuses of the tasks under your epics, you will see that on this summary part, you see, because I have one in progress, let me change this other one to done so that we can see it from here. It's kind of report from here. It's going to change at this point. See, one part is yellow. It's going to tell you that, oh, we have two tasks. One task that has been, sorry, I'm trying to help make you see. When you hover over it, you see in blue says in progress 1 of 3. To do says 2 of 3. It has not updated. It has not updated what the edit I made on this part yet. I don't know. But this part where we are at now is called your roadmap. So this is a roadmap. When you hover over this, you're able to see the start date and the end date of the sprint. Am I making sense, or am I just everywhere?
I don't think I saw where your cursor went. Where do you say it's roadmap, please?
Here, so where we are at is called timeline. This place, what you're seeing here, you can see November, December, January, and on and on. This is your roadmap. You're able to see that we completed this onboarding within sprint 1 that fell on this date to this date. So let me do this other one so that, let me do authentication so that we have a flow. Let's move it to a return review. And let's move this to choose a favorite. All right. So what I want to do is I want to end this sprint so that I can start a sprint on authentication, and then we'll see the way these bars change. So I'm going to go to my active sprint and end this sprint. So we haven't moved everything. And things that we have cards, we have tickets in different places, but at the end of 2 weeks, you can always end the sprint. Now, mind you, you have a timer here that tells you what date we are at on the sprint. So we have 9 more days to the end of our sprint. So I can complete this sprint. If we have finished everything within 2 weeks, we can always complete the sprint. If we haven't, and maybe we want to add some items, we want to move some items around, I still have, it's going to give you this report. You have 3 open sprints, 3 open issues rather, because you've not completed, you don't have anything under done. Or hold on, let me move this to done so that we have something under done. Okay, so I'm going to complete sprints then. So it tells us that we have 1 completed issue and 2 open issues. So what do we want to do? Do we want to move them to a new sprint, or do we want to move them to backlog? We're going to move them to a new sprint and then complete the sprint. I'm doing this so that I can start the sprint on authentication so that we can see the way the bars go. Now, once you've ended that sprint, you automatically get the next sprint up. And the first things you had, the backlog items, the issues you had on the other sprint will come into your next sprint. Then you can add something else here. So I'm just going to move this upward so that we can move them to authentication, and then add them to the Epic authentication, and to the Epic loading, and to the Epic authentication. Then I'm starting my print. Okay, leaving that as print 2, duration is 2 weeks, and I'm starting this. Say I started that print on the 1st, so the next one should be like 14th. Sprint goal complete. You can do without the sprint goal anyways, so start. Great. So when we come to timeline, we're able to see this. So this is a moving roadmap that tells us in summary how long we worked on onboarding, how long we worked on authentication, and on like that. You can always extend. This is you extending the date of your sprint. So I'm taking it back to 2 weeks. But you can always extend it. Or say you don't want to go back to the end and to end the sprint and start it all over. So you can always extend. Okay, say we're supposed to do this in 2 weeks, but we took more than 2 weeks to do it, which is why you see it's reporting in the negative. When you do like this, then you end. Once you leave it, tells us that we did this in 30 days. We did it in 21 days. So this sort of gives you a high-level overview of timelines in completing your project. Now, what you can do with this is, for the next project or something similar, you are able to properly forecast the duration of time it will take you to start or finish a project. Am I making sense? Okay. So if you're in a product team, if you're a business analyst, a product manager, you write user stories, acceptance criteria. So how do you do that? On your timeline, where you come to you have created your epics, you have created your issues and the stories or tasks or anything. Or say now at this point, let me quickly chime in here that if you have done onboarding is under testing and there's a bug, how that should be recorded is you come here, you come back to your timeline, you come to your epic, and then you click on the plus. So you are creating a child issue. Then you come here and change this from green, I said that green is a story, and you change it to bug. So what bug has been found? Onboarding doesn't complete, or maybe onboarding screen. That's the bug. So if within a development team, within a software team, any developer that sees this knows that this is a bug, that this is something they need to prioritize, this is something they need to work on. So you can always expand on this. I haven't done this bug, you stated that there's a bug, you click on it, and then you can fill in the details to the right. Now, it's worthy of note that you can decide to expand this when you want to expand it to like full screen. So you just click on here, click on this issue label, and it will go to a new screen. So that is it loading up here. We came from this part and it's loading up to here so that you can adequately see. So when, oh my God, okay. When you are on this part, you may not easily be able, it's not easy to start typing all of the details here, especially if you're someone who struggles with like screen size and all of that. So it's always advisable to expand it to this part. So all you're doing here is expanding, and then you want to put a description of the bug or what's the environment where description of the bug, the onboarding screen, onboarding doesn't proceed, then the next thing is clicked. Save. what environment is this happening in? So the environment here is, are we using, is it on the mobile app, on the web app? Is it using Android or iOS? Is it using Chrome browser or Safari browser or Fox browser? So you want to be able to tell the developer so that they can reproduce that error. When they can reproduce the error, they're able to trace what codes to write or what codes to look at. So we're going to say this happens on a Chrome browser. Now, sometimes it might be a Chrome browser, but only on the system, but not on mobile. And then all these ones are Confluence content. If your Confluence page is linked, you can do all of that. If not, just ignore. You've done the description, you've written the environment. You can also add pictures. You can add images. You can add images so that you can see, maybe you take a screenshot of the error message you are seeing. You can just always add an image from here. Let me look for something I can add images, you can add videos, or something that helps the development team that will be working on this bug see and understand what you're talking about. So once you do this, you need to do well to save it. Okay. So I don't know why I'm not having the save button come up rather. Let me see if the size is different. It's too big. Okay, so I can save now. Maybe the size was too big. So because if you don't save, every other thing you typed in here is gone. I'm going to proceed. I don't know why it's not saving it, so I'm going to proceed without it. So here, that's what I was driving at here. So all of these, just expand your screen to look at what's happening, and then you can go back to your timeline, and we do repeat the same process. I was saying that for people who deal with user stories and writing acceptance criteria, if you want to do that, you want to do that under your task, under the story, not under the epic. Because the epic is a broad topic, right? The epic contains other tasks and stories and subtasks. So you don't want to write your user story under the epic, because then you're not able to trace it to where it relates to. So you want to do that under the stories or task. Let me change this to task. So under registration, I want to write a user story for this. Again, if you don't mind screen size, you can do all of that here. But if you do mind screen size, you want to open it up from here. Yes, you can link issues together. You can link one issue to another issue.
So we can see what you're doing. Your screen is frozen.
Oh wow. I'm moving from here. Can you see this? This is timeline, and I opened up registration. It opened to my right. So I want to expand here. So I clicked on this. Are you with me, Oloma? Am I still frozen?
What you clicked on? What exactly did you click on?
Here. Can you see my cursor swinging?
Okay, yeah. On the LP one.
Yes, exactly. So this is the epic. The first one is the epic. The second is the story. So I want to write a user story here. I earlier mentioned that if you don't mind small screen size, you can write your description here. However, if you're the type where maybe you always prefer to have broader screen, it's when you click on this LP one, the story, and it brings you to another page, which is here. Are we together?
Yeah, fine, yeah.
All right, thank you. So if criteria, you do that in your description. What you want to do is, as a user, I want to be able to register. I want to be able to create an account so that I can access that. So you write your acceptance criteria. Acceptance criteria for product managers. Project managers don't write ACs and US. It's done by the business analyst and or product manager. So if this is you're a business analyst, you're a product manager, this is where you write your acceptance criteria. Acceptance criteria is a sort of checklist of tasks that must be completed for us to be able to say that this registration is complete. In English, when you write a user story, you write from the point of your end user. That's why you write it in this format. That's why it's written in this format. As a user, as a customer, as a buyer, as a rider, you want to be able to define who user is. User here is very broad because for apps like Uber, for instance, you have both rider, you have driver. So if you say user could be either of them. So you want to be specific. Or as a rider, for instance, I want to be able to, and it's simple in this form, I want to be able to carry out an action so that benefit, right? So if you're a project manager, this might not particularly apply to you, but you would see that your business analyst or your product managers are doing this. So it's a good to have knowledge. So now for us to say that registration is complete, you need to be able to say user should input their email address, a valid email address. Someone saying something? User should input a password. I can see someone's on mute. User should input a password. Under here, you want to say, okay, let me do this in bullets. Now for this email address has to be text. Email address has to be, has to have a domain name. You know, where you're trying to sign into some platforms, trying to sign into some apps or websites, and then they tell you invalid email address because you're not putting, it doesn't have a domain name, it doesn't have an @ something. So those are all of the criteria that you're writing down. So password must be minimum of 8 characters, alphanumeric, and all of that. So now you want to do this because when your developers are working, you want them to do this very specifically. Email address should be a blank field with a write-up. Enter email address. Something like that. So for your password, you also want to say user should get an error message. Error message when password doesn't meet criteria. So here you are defining everything that when the user goes to an onboarding page, when they're trying to create an account, all of these factors must be put into place for them to be successful, for them to successfully create an account. I feel like I've digressed, but does this make sense? We want to go button should be blue. Button should be grayed out if fields are not filled. All right, so you write all of the criteria that you use for your onboarding screen and then you save. Now, because you're not the only
Please, can
person
you
working
expand your screen? We can't see what you're doing. Could you expand it? Yes, thank you.
all right.
Thank you.
But do you understand how we got here? Do you understand what we did here?
Yeah, yes.
All right, great. So because you're not the only person working, especially if you're not the only person working on the task, there's a comment section. So comments will be used by everybody on the team. I'm saying, hey, okay, so I'm working on registration right now. Did my comments go to? I'm working on registration right now, and I want to now drop an update of what I have done, or maybe I encountered something. So I will drop it on the comment here. I can ask to mention somebody who is on the team. I can ask to say, Advanced Academy, I am unable to move beyond, or I am unable to understand. Second. And then save. So everybody who is on this project will get a prompt. Now note that you can integrate with your Slack. You can integrate with Slack on. Okay, I'll come back to Slack integration. But you can integrate to Slack, you can integrate Jira to Teams. You can integrate Jira to, I'm sure of Slack and Teams. I don't know if there are any other apps that you can integrate Jira into. So that's what comments is used for. History, you just want to see what has happened here. So in things like Google, if you use Google Documents, you see you can do version history. So history just tells you, if for instance something has changed and you're not sure what has changed, oh, I didn't write, maybe there's an error, but I didn't write this. You're able to come down to see who has acted up on this, who moved something around, who did what. So BAMS created this issue 40 minutes ago. So if, for instance, a teammate you're working on decides to be funny and goes to edit your work, as long as the person saves it, it will be recorded under history. So you're able to trace it back to who did what. Work log doesn't particularly, I mean, not many people use this, but here is where you just like, it's a timesheet, you know, excuse me, you clock in and you clock out when you were here. But if your team uses it, fine. It is not, so I mean, it's not compulsory. It's something you can do without. To your left here, you can create priority of tasks. Say this task is super, super important and you want it to be done, you can pick your priority. And at any point, this can be edited. We can start a project and, okay, this particular task is medium, it has medium priority, so yeah, everybody move on. But at some point it becomes a high priority, so we come and flag it and change to highest priority, and everybody's notified that priority has changed, and then people know what to work on. I made sense thus far, so I feel like I'm saying a lot of things. Does anybody have any questions at this point? No questions?
So I wanted to ask, is the session being recorded?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Okay, so because I was a bit late, so I didn't see like the first 30 minutes.
Okay, not a problem. It should be shared to your email. If you wanted to say something.
Thank you.
Yes, I was going to ask the same question that she did, because I'm in and out of this meeting. So I was going to ask if it's recorded and if it will be, yeah.
Okay, not a problem. Now, I earlier mentioned that you can integrate Jira with Slack, which is what most teams work with. But to do that, you have to go through Slack. You can't do that from Jira. Maybe at some point Jira will update and you'll be able to do it from Jira. Now, I want to mention something here. I mean, you just play with it, you'll find. Calendar just tells us, you can see that it's new. But what it tells us is the way you have your sprint. What are we working on from when to when? We can see that we are working on onboarding from 4th through 11th through 14th and all of that, or through 18th. and it falls under sprint 2. So your calendar just generally gives you a calendar view of what we are doing. Now, when we go to reports, all of these on the left side, you can see either all reports, because this is company, sorry, it's loading up. We use a company managed project. So if I'm working on more than one project and I want to give reports to stakeholders on the status of all of them, so I will go to all reports. Right. So now, all of these, I mean, we don't particularly use all of it unless you're in a team that does. If your team specifically does, they will let you know which one they use. But for an agile team, you will use your sprint reports a lot of the time. Now, your sprint reports is what tells you, as a product manager, as a business analyst, if people have been funny on the team, and this is a hack I learned, you can, of course, like I said, you can backdate your sprint, and I want to check that, okay, these people started the sprint when they did. I can go to my report and check that. So the report is going to tell me what's been happening on this project over the last 2 to 3 sprints. So it's loading up. So here I can see my completed issues. Completed issues are tasks that we've completed. It could be tasks, it could be stories, it could be epics, it could be bugs. So I can see what we've completed during the first sprint. Here, up here, you can see that you can filter for the sprint you're in. So now I'm reading reports for sprint 1. I can see what happened. Okay, these issues were not completed. This was removed from the sprint. This was not completed. It was moved over. I now want to read about sprint 2 to change the report and tell me, okay, these are the issues where we are at on sprint 2. So this is more useful to BAs and product managers. As a project manager, you may not be useful to you, but if you use it formally for tasks. Okay, so let's do something on tasks because I feel like I've been talking to software teams a lot. Let's create another project very quickly, short project, but it's going to be for work management so that we're not just doing products. Yeah, projects. Sorry, Isi, I like your name. So this is where you're using Jira for task management. The first part we did, that's where you're using Jira to manage your software team within a product system. Now, this is you now using Jira to manage your project. You can see that the approach is different. The board is different. The template is looking different. This is because it's more simplified. What I want to do here is just create the list of tasks my team is to work on. You notice that, remember where we talked about stories? When in product management, we have stories, we have boards, but for projects, we have only tasks, mostly tasks. You can create another type. So I just want to say, what is Issy working on board the new staff? Within Issy's team, what else are we supposed to do? Performance appraisal. Excuse my typos. What else are we supposed to do? Someone to help me, please. I just want to add like 1 or 2 more. What else? What are the other tasks, project managers that you do within your team? Just give me a task, create documentation. What else?
Process
Ma?
documents.
Identify risk.
JDs. Create JDs.
Great. Thank you so much. Now, this is pretty simple and straight to the point. It's like a Kanban board. So I'm just going to open it and assign it to somebody. But of course, there should be somebody on my team. Again, you can add people here, this top part button. If they are on the team, you can add them. Victoria is supposed to be on this team already. I don't know why. Oh, pretty easy. So here, notified. Victoria has been added to the project. That didn't happen for the software team. So now I want to say who's onboarding this new staff and assign to Victoria. Victoria will get an email that I have assigned a task to her. This is a priority task, so treat as important. This is due by Wednesday next week. I don't want to hear stories. No time log. I'm not doing that. Start date or start date. I'll put that today. What is the category? There's no. You have to create a category, but yeah, that's it, and then done. So once I've done all of this, and maybe I want to give her specific instructions, I want to give Victoria. Now, this can be very helpful where you work in teams that are across borders. And you know that by the time you're working, Victoria is probably still asleep. So you might not be able to get on the call to talk about this task. So you now give Victoria all of the, okay, there's a new girl, there's a new hire in finance team. Bring her up to speed on this project. Right, save. Victoria has done all of that. Victoria can comment here. She didn't show up for her meeting. She didn't show up for the meeting. Excuse my typos, and save. Now this will help me. Everybody is in tandem. Everybody on this team is in tandem. I can see where we are at every point in time. Or maybe the task is assigned that Victoria says, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm on leave." She's not supposed to reply if she's on leave, but say she's polite enough to let you know. You can quickly reassign it to somebody else, maybe someone called automatic. And that's it. Shekana, see that your due date is here, your task is here, everything is just, your priority has changed. It's different from this at medium. Priority has changed, and then you can move it into the to-do. Sorry, in progress, you can move it to done. If you want, if your team is a type where you have to send it forward, you can say awaiting review. So maybe another person who needs to, maybe EC is not the final person this thing goes to. So EC wants to just create a new board. So we can say, sorry. Yeah, so you can move it here. So for project management, task management, this is how you use Jira. Pretty straightforward. You can use it for your everyday life if you're a very busy person. VAs also use this to manage tasks. You can do more than that. So the most complicated part of using Jira, the most team that uses Jira. Sorry, someone saying something? Okay, so the team that uses Jira the most in the more complicated issue are people in software team. That's the first project we did. They're the ones who have to work with a lot of things. You see that we don't even have reports to look at here. But let's say, for instance, because this is a company managed project, this is team managed, sorry, the other project is company managed. I want to create a team. So I'm working on a project, but I'm working with finance team, I'm working with HR team, I'm working with commercial team. I can come here to teams, just the top, this top ribbon, you see teams here, and then you create a team. So when you click on create a team, all right, so here I just want to say this is commercial team. Who should be on my team? Victoria again, because I've invited her already. We just put the email. It won't show, excuse me, it won't show because she's not on my team, so I have to invite her. Alternatively, if you want the team to be open to anybody, anyone can join this team without approval. You can just click this so that once you share a link, everybody can join. So create my team. Here. So I've successfully created commercial team. Now, if I have a task that I want to assign to commercial team, for instance, No, commercials don't document. Let's say identify risks. So this task should be done by, I want to call commercial team into this. In motion. I want to add commercial team. I can tag them to this and just tell them a story, what I want them to do. So I'm unable to assign to, let's see. I'm unable to assign to commercial team because it consists of more than one person, right? But I can add them on the description if you saw that. And the add button on my laptop did not work. Okay, sorry, it did. So add commercial team, or you can use the ads here. So that's generally what or how, remember to save. That's generally how Jira can work for software teams and non-software teams. I hope this makes sense. I hope I've made sense so far, or am I just pouring water into a basket? Do you have specific questions you'd like us to answer? I'm with you though. Hello, questions? Okay, no questions. Give me feedback.
So,
Hello, ma'am.
yeah, so for both team and company-based projects,
Mhm.
is creating the team members, is it the same process?
Yes. So adding people to your team is via
Whether
here.
it's company-based or team-based project,
Yes.
is it the same process?
Yes, it is, Oloma.
Okay. Thank you.
If I want to add someone and I don't want maybe I'm adding a very senior stakeholder and I want the person to, so see here, I'm trying to enter an email and the person is not on Jira. So I could just do, let me do that again. I'm not sure if you saw that. So here, this plus sign, it opens this box. I want to add an email and this person doesn't show. So I could just do add teammates to Jira. Sorry, I have to have inputted the whole email. What is this? Okay, sorry. Sorry, I'm adding myself to Jira. I want just Jira, so okay, person. So that's how you add. This particular one we're working on. This ISIS project is a team managed project. The first one we worked on was a company managed project. Does that make sense? So you will now get this notification here at the bottom. You've successfully sent an email to me. This is my email, so I'm going to check the email. And I can do that. Let me accept it so that we can now define what my role on the project will be. If I have access to everything, or you just want to restrict my role to view only, for instance, a very senior stakeholder who will likely not do anything on the project, but you want the person to have an overview of what's happening. So you can just restrict the person's access to just be viewer, if this makes sense. So here, I'm trying to accept the invite. So if administrator would be someone I want to be able to do things I can do within my team. For instance, a team lead, or if I'm the team lead, maybe an assistant team lead. So a member can be somebody who you don't have administrator access, you cannot edit and update settings, but you can work within the team. So most people will be members. Therefore, viewers, I just want you to have a bird's eye view. I don't want you to be able to do anything. I don't want you to act on it. I just want you to see. So I can now choose. And network is dragging, so it's taking a while to accept on my mobile. But say I want Victoria to just be able to see what's happening here. I can now add her to this project and she will just be able to view. Victoria, if you got a prompt, I don't know if you're with your system. So you can just show us what it would be like. But then again, you get this prompt, and if at some point you want to edit Victoria's access and you want her to be able to do more things, you can always edit her access. Here's an overview of all the projects I have associated with this my Jira account. Remember yesterday I mentioned that you can have more than one Jira site. The Jira site is, okay, you can't see this top part. Let me not share that. Hold on, let me share my entire screen. Let me share my entire screen so that you can see. I want you to be able to see the URL. Okay, great. Let me know when you can see my screen. Okay. Oh. So here you can see this. Oh, I can zoom in on that part. Can you see this URL here? So if you have to give someone your Jira site, this is what's called the Jira site. So it is the name of your organization. You selected this when you were creating the account, .atlassian.net. Every other thing follows to where we're at. We're on a project, we're on an IP, we're on a board, and all of that. So this is your Jira site. So anybody that has this can view your Jira board. So now you can create more. I can have another Jira site that is not BAMS Academy. Maybe it is my name, elizabeth.atlassian.net or ladyb.atlassian.net. And it can all be linked to just one email address. So I can swap between my project. I can swap between my, like here. Can you see this? You can see there's BAMS. This is what happened yesterday when I was trying to create those accounts that the network kept disturbing. So I have one that's BAMS-Academy. I have one that is BAMS Academy without the hyphen. These are two different organizations. That's what Jira calls them. So if you are a virtual assistant, for instance, you're working with Isis company, you're working with Victoria's company, you're working with Karim's company, you can have all of them here on your email address. So it's easier to manage. I can just swap between organizations and go to whatever project I want to. And all of that and all of that. If that makes sense. Did I make sense just now? And if you're working on a project, go ahead.
To create a Jira account, can you use your personal email?
Oh yeah, sure.
Or
all of these are
does
on
it
my
have to
personal
be
email.
an organizational email?
No,
Your work
not
email.
at all. So this is mine. It's at gmail.com. And emails that are at Gmail are as good as personal. So you don't need a at companyname.com. You can use your personal email. And as long as you have less than 10 persons on the team, it is free for life. If you have more than 10 persons on the team, then you have to subscribe. You have to pay Jira for it.
But I think there was a time I wanted to create a Jira account with my Gmail and it didn't accept that.
I don't know. All of my Jira accounts, that's weird to say all of my Jira accounts are all Gmail. I have never opened a Jira account with a company domain.
Okay. I'll try it again.
Maybe when you're free, we can walk through it together. We can maybe call me and then we can get on a call to open the Jira account.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
All right, not a problem. What we are seeing here at this top part is something called summary. And what you're seeing here is a summary of what you have in your task. All your projects, like 80% of them are under to do. There's just one task in awaiting review. So here is just a report. Recent activity, what you have done, what you didn't do. I don't think anybody pays attention to this, but maybe for audit purposes, you might find this important. Your priority task, how many tasks do you have that priority? So I can easily see what my entire team is working on. If I want naturally or normally or averagely, this is how you see your task board in a board, but you can see it in a list if you prefer. I prefer the board because it's more holistic and sometimes get confusing, but depending on what you're trying to achieve, you can still use this. You can create tasks from here and just type in XYZ, enter XYZ, enter, and it keeps going on and on like that. I'm just going to delete this too because they don't make sense. Does anybody have a question that you'd like us to respond to? Questions, contributions. Did I spend your 2 hours right? Or do you feel like, oh, I knew all of these already? Or do you feel like no new knowledge? I'm on this cricket, they fear me. Oh, please, you should respond. Should I stop recording so that you can say what you want to say and not have it recorded?
Did you ask any question or something?
Yeah, I said, do you have any questions? Does anybody have any questions, contributions? Do you feel like you've spent your 2 hours right? Or do you feel like no new knowledge?
No, for me, I didn't start with you guys, so I really need to look at the videos again in order to have a holistic view of everything that was said.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Vincent, do you want to say something? Sorry, I'm just calling you and putting you on the spot.
Okay, thanks for this great opportunity actually. Being like on the road, so I'm just listening, not really fully participating, but I can tell you that I've actually gained a lot. What I will do is to go back and try to create an account, just maybe with the aid of the help of the recorded video. I'll be able to, pull one or two things together and refresh my memory about what you did today. So thank you so much. I have no question precisely because of the condition. I think, I wish it was done earlier anyway, but the majority voted for 2 p.m., which is okay. So I'm good. Thank you so much. It's a wonderful opportunity and I'm glad. Thank you so much. And thank you everyone as well for joining me.
Okay. Thank you, Vincent. Well, do you have questions? Oluwadosi, you're going to speak and Victoria, you're going to speak.
Hi, Betsy. No, not from my end. Well, thank you very much for the lesson. I was actually in and out, but I was about like the recording. But thank you for this session.
Okay,
Thank
Oluwadosi.
Hi, thank you.
Oluwadosi.
Yeah, yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, thank you. Basically, it's just like a refresher kind of course on Jira. So yeah, it was good.
Thank you, Victoria. Do you have a question? Do you have question, comment?
No, I don't have a question. I liked it. I loved it. It was definitely great. I think my 2 hours was rightly used. Thank you so much.
All right, great. So if you guys start working on it, you are trying to create an account. If you run into problems, feel free to send me a DM. I'm not sure. Let me stop recording now so that because this other part is not necessary.